Warning: this story is not for the faint of heart. Gilles De Rais, once a celebrated war hero and nobleman, descended into one of the darkest and most depraved figures in history. His crimes, characterised by extreme brutality and sadistic pleasure, make him one of history's earliest and most notorious serial killers. Through his trial and execution, the full extent of his evil was revealed, marking a chilling chapter in the history of crime and serving as a reminder of the potential for human depravity. Gilles De Rais, born in 1404, rose to fame as a French nobleman, military leader, and close ally to Joan of Arc during the 100 Years' War. Yet, behind the facade of chivalry and nobility, lurked a deeply disturbed individual whose life would devolve into one of the most horrifying series of crimes in medieval Europe. He is remembered today not for his military accolades, but for his brutal murders, particularly of children, which have earned him the infamous title of one of history's first serial killers. But before we delve into the details of Gilles De Rais' life and his gruesome crimes, please take a second to click the subscribe button and show my channel some love. Okay, let's get into it. De Rais was born into one of Brittany's wealthiest families. Orphaned at an early age, he inherited vast wealth, including several castles, and grew up with the privileges of the French aristocracy. His early life was marked by military brilliance. Aged just 25, he served as a commander in the 100 Years' War, where he fought valiantly in key battles such as the Siege of Orleans alongside Joan of Arc. His service earned him the title of Marshal of France in 1429, a testament to his military prowess. However, following Joan's capture and execution, De Rais retired from the battlefield. His retirement, far from being peaceful, signalled the beginning of his rapid descent into depravity and eventual notoriety. After retiring from military life, De Rais' extravagant lifestyle led him into financial ruin. Desperate to restore his financial standing, he turned to alchemists and occult practices, convinced that demonic forces could grant him riches beyond his means. It's at this point that his life took a significantly darker turn. De Rais' obsession with the occult led him to attempt to summon a demon named Baron. On one occasion, he was said to have provided a contract for Baron, hoping the demon would help him regain his fortune. Growing frustrated when no demon appeared, De Rais was informed that Baron demanded the soul of a child as an offering. In response, De Rais murdered a young boy, dismembering his body and placing the parts in a glass vessel. Despite this truly horrifying act, no demon manifested. De Rais' descent into the world of ritualistic murder and child sacrifice became one of the darkest chapters in French history. Between 1431 and 1440, he is believed to have abducted, tortured, and murdered up to 600 children, though the exact number still remains unknown. His primary targets were boys, although he did abduct girls as well. His victims ranged in age 6 to 18, but for reasons that remain unclear, he displayed a particular preference for boys. De Rais would often lure children to his castles with promises of food, money, or employment, often using his servants or accomplices to carry out the abductions. Once captured, the children would be taken to a secluded location where they were subjected to unimaginable horrors. According to trial records, De Rais would strip his victims naked, hang them by ropes from hooks, and proceed to torture, molest, and rape them. After satisfying his sadistic urges, De Rais, or his accomplices, would murder the children in a variety of ways. His preferred weapon was a short, double-edged sword known as a braguemard, which he used to slit their throats, decapitate them, or dismember their bodies. On some occasions, De Rais would personally kill the children by sitting on their stomachs as they died, taking grotesque pleasure in their suffering. In one particularly horrifying account, De Rais was said to have kissed and admired the mutilated bodies of his victims, sometimes engaging in post-mortem sexual acts with the corpses. Once the children were dead, Their bodies were often cremated or buried to conceal the evidence of his crimes. However, not all bodies were fully disposed of. In some cases, the remains were left to rot or were stored in secret chambers within his castles. The exact number of Gilles De Rais' victims is impossible to determine, but historical records list a few victims, including an unnamed 9-year-old boy and an unnamed 12-year-old boy in the early 1430s, a cleric whom De Rais abducted and murdered on May 15, 1440, and an unnamed boy from the village of Villeblanche in August 1440. The case of the cleric in particular marked a turning point in De Rais' criminal career, as the abduction of a church official was an act that drew the attention of the Bishop of Nantes. The bishop launched an investigation which led to the discovery of the full extent of De Rais' atrocities. Authorities found the remains of at least 40 children buried within his castles, further confirming the horrifying rumours that had been circulating. De Rais was arrested on September 15, 1440, and brought to trial. During the trial, he confessed to his crimes, offering detailed and grotesque descriptions of his murders, torture methods, and his occult practices. His trial became a public spectacle, as witnesses, including his servants and accomplices, testified to the unspeakable acts committed within his castles. On October 26, 1440, at the age of 36, Gilles De Rais was sentenced to death by hanging, followed by burning. He met his fate along with his accomplices, bringing an end to one of the most horrifying criminal sprees in history. Although modern psychology and criminology did not exist in the 15th century, De Rais' case presents a chilling study in psychotic and sadistic behaviour. His obsession with power, his ruthless need for control, and his apparent enjoyment of his victims' suffering all suggest traits commonly associated with modern-day serial killers. His crimes weren't driven by necessity or revenge, but by a deep-seated psychological disorder that made him seek pleasure in the suffering of others. Gilles De Rais' legacy is a dual one. On one hand, he remains remembered as a military hero. On the other hand, he is now regarded as one of history's first documented serial killers. His story may have also inspired the legend of Bluebeard, a fictional character who murders his wives. This dark fairy tale reflects the same themes of power, control, and death that characterised De Rais' real-life crimes. So there you have it, the story of Gilles De Rais, a very unpleasant man indeed. If you're one for horrible true crime tales, then I do hope that you enjoyed this video somewhat. And if you want to see more stuff like this in the future, then make sure to subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.